This is Jamie Starr with the New World News Network. On this episode, I want to cover this Guardian article. The men who live as dogs were just the same as any person on the high street. And no, you're not. You live as dogs. And most people don't. And of course, we're going to see the crazy logic or lack thereof that we see in all sorts of these other social justice, transgender, oh, you need to accept these people for who they are and everything. And I, of course, wonder with, now movie chains in Texas putting in gender neutral, transgender bathrooms with urinals for women where they stand up and squat over them and pee, if we're now going to put in fire hydrants. Another thing about all of this is you can see that there are some of these people who view it as one way, even within the community, as they call it, where they don't all have the same view on it, which of course is, to be expected, but it's done at convenience. Like the person who was the grown man who decided he wanted to be a 9-year-old girl, then the little girl he was friends with, which, God, who would let their little child be friends with a grown man who thinks he's a little girl? He decides he goes from 9 to 6 so he can be the younger sister and stuff. So this is all ridiculous. So human pups like to live in packs, play with squeak toys, eat from bowls, and nuzzle their handlers ahead of a new documentary, Spot, Boot Brush, and Kaz open up about the community. And if this was just like an article about a fetish that some people have, I would almost say that's completely acceptable. But it's the fact that it's written as if it's something that we're supposed to respect and just normalize it. Like my baby niece used to like follow the dog around and would drink out of the dog bowl and stuff. I wonder if it's child abuse that we were stopping her, because of course baby children will just imitate what they see. So she sees another creature crawling around on the ground like her, so she starts acting like the dog. Maybe we should have just let her do it. Maybe it's child abuse because we weren't letting her embrace who she really is and everything. And I've also, there's a YouTube channel, Pockets for the Future, something like that, that I really enjoy. I'm sorry I can't get the name right, if I have it wrong. And I have friends of mine that are into, like, Buddhism and stuff like that, and they, of course, bring up this, well, maybe they're just experiencing something from a past life, whatever. No, that's not what this is. This guy in this latex dog outfit has nothing to do with a past life, because otherwise I would ask, well, then how come more people don't have this feeling? It's a very small group of people, and I personally think it's far more about arrested development. Like, little kids, you see Kevin Hart, he does skits being like, oh, my son thinks he's Superman, so I play along with him, this, and that. It doesn't help him when he gets into a fight at school, but around the house, I let him web blaster me and stuff. So I think it's more of this childish, make-believe thing, and so we'll see in the article. It's easy to laugh at a grown man in a rubber dog suit chewing on a squeaky toy. Maybe too easy, in fact, because to laugh is to dismiss it, denigrate it, ignore the fact that many of us have found comfort and joy in pretending to be animals at some points in our lives. You can already see the angle this is written from. It's written from the whole, like as if it's the same thing as being gay or anything like that. This is a serious lifestyle choice, and we need to respect this. I'm sorry, my web browser is being so fucking awful right now. Secret Life of Human Pups is a sympathetic look. Of course, it's a sympathetic look. The world of pup play, a movement that grew up the BDSM community. And like I said, if it was written about this is some fucking freak ass BDSM kink shit that people do, I'd be like, oh, okay, but it's getting written with this social justice shit. And that's the most aggravating part of that the whole social justice movement is now it's taking like fringe sexual things, because it's, of course, transsexualism, gender identity, like, it's always focused around a primal aspect. There's no elevated, it doesn't involve higher intelligence or anything like that. It's the bottom of the barrel. It's, oh my god. All right, exploring the last 15 years, as the internet made it easier to reach out to like-minded people. While the pup community is a broad church, human pups tend to be male, gay, and have an interest in dressing in leather, wearing dog-like hoods, enjoy tactile interactions like stomach rubbing or ear tickling, play with toys, eat out bowls, and are often in relationships with their human handlers. In the documentary, we see Tom, aka Spot, take part in a Mr. Puppy Europe competition, a mix of beauty pageant, talent show, and crufts. David, aka Dogbrush, talked to camera in a leather dog mask. Two pups walk through London pretending to wee on lampposts to raise awareness of their identity. And lots of men jumping up for treats, barking and wagging their mechanical tails. Well, see, it's very interesting because dogs don't speak and they don't do interviews. So here we already have well, this is a matter of convenience. I want you to accept my identity as a dog, but I'm still going to talk to you in English because otherwise that would be an inconvenience. When I speak to Tom, he is keen to point out that puppy play is more than the outfits and surface level power games. It's about being given license to behave in a way that feels natural, even primal. You're not worrying about money or food or work, says Tom, who works as an engineer in theater. It's just a chance to enjoy each other's company on a very simple level. Let me tell you, my fucking beagle, all she thinks about is food. She would steal every bit of food I tried to eat if given the opportunity. Oh my god. I don't know what's more aggravating, my browser right now, or trying to fucking, like, understand who the person who wrote this article obviously sees this as something that, should be sympathized with and everything else. Tom's discovery of puppy play came along gradually. He knew he liked sleeping in a collar, had a fetish for skin-tight clothing, lycra rubber, even off-the-peg cycling shorts. Then came a Dalmatian Zentai suit he found on eBay, a dollar orange lead from Pets at Home, until eventually a man in his club walked up to him and said, "Oh, right, so you're a pup." The realization was not without its repercussions. It led to a breakup with his former fiancée Rachel and a move into a gay relationship with his new handler Colin. I wouldn't say it was the catalyst, but it was the straw that broke the camel's back, says Tom. Then I had this moment of panic because a puppy without a collar is a stray. They don't have anyone to look after them. I started chatting to Colin online, and he offered to look after me. It's a sad thing to say, but there's not love from the heart in me for Colin, but what I have got is someone who is there for me, and I'm happy with that. So he's even admitting that he doesn't love this person, but they look after him, and it's so weird because it's like you gave up on being engaged to a woman to now in a gay relationship with someone you don't love but who entertains your weird puppy fetish. And uh, I don't know, that must be an interesting relationship dynamic to say the least. For David, a writer who works in academia, oh my god, like, so this guy who dresses up as a puppy is someone who's teaching other people about stuff. I mean, this is the person who's molding the minds of the future. And, you know, I wanted to do a video, it's kind of old news now, about Sargon's petition to shut down social justice courses. I think we should just shut down schools at this rate. At this rate, why not? I mean, you have them pushing when they are asking 5 and 6-year-olds to pick a gender identity, nothing good is going to come from that. The whole thing needs to be shut down, or it just drastically needs reform, and we need to purge a lot of these people out of it. I mean, I can tell you, I've dated a handful of teachers, and they are not people you want molding the minds of the future. They also all have shady pasts, and all of them can be found somewhere naked on the internet. So it's really, is that who you want raising your kids while you're out working 9 to 5 just to afford this shit? Like, it's so totally nonverbal, he tells me. It's pre-rationale, pre-conscious. It's an instinctive emotional space, but within every puppy is a person. This is part of my identity, but it's only part. I'm also a vegetarian. If this would scroll down, let me just try refreshing this. Okay. I'm also a vegetarian. Play the piano. I have a parrot. I was planting tomatoes in my allotment this morning. I can go months without going into pup space. The psychiatrist Carl Jung argued that our conscious minds contain intuitive emotional sensation and thinking archetypes, are the sort men drawn to puppy play, simply exploring their intuitive self. Absolutely, says David. Puppy play is exactly that, play. There's an immense amount of pleasure from gamboling around in the club, playing with squeaky toys because you're making people laugh. You're being a cute little puppy. The gay scene can be very serious, scary, and off-putting, but if you're going in with a little puppy hood, ears, and a tongue, you look cute. You're allowed to bound around and be enthusiastic, mischievous, and friendly. And this is the reason why I was doing this in my browser the whole time, is so we can see the trailer. Otherwise, I would have just screen captured it.
We are a nation of dog lovers. But meet the men who don't just want to own a dog.
Come on, baby.
They want to be one.
Do the dog.
Everybody loves a puppy.
Good boy.
Do the dog.
It isn't the seedy activity people think it is.
Secret Life of the Human Pups. Wednesday at 10 on 4.
And I assume it's a British show. And look at these women sitting next to them. They don't look happy. They don't look like they're entertained by this shit. Kaz, another pup, argues that for some, being a puppy isn't just a fun mask to try on. It's how they identify. It's who they are. Even when I worked in PC World, I would sometimes walk up to people and nip at their shirt. Can you imagine that? Like, can you seriously? This is fucking insanity. And it's being like a sympathetic look at the fucking dude who's biting at your shirt while you're trying to get your computer repaired. He says, laughing, I got in trouble once. Someone walked into the PC repair center and I had a part of their dad's computer in my mouth, but the other staff knew I was like that to everyone. They didn't find it weird. Trust me, buddy, they found it weird. And this is again why I say this is arrested development. This is little kid shit. This is not them, not being able to cope with their past life of being a dog. This is them being a fucking weirdo and kind of testing the bounds. Like little kids, you'll say, no, don't do that. And they will go and do whatever you told them not to do because they're testing the bounds and they want to know where the punishments is, how much they're allowed to get away with, and everything like that. I can tell you what, if this guy tried that nipping at someone's shirt around where I live, you'd end up, like, punched in the face or shot. But that's because I'm from the hood, and we don't have time for that shit. They didn't find it weird. For Kaz, pup play can be summed up in the phrase, be dog. He will socialize as a pack, enjoy physical closeness with each other. Pups always eats out of a bowl at home. It's just nice. It makes me feel comfortable, he explains before adding, but I always eat with a knife and fork and at a table. Otherwise, it's time consuming and you can't watch TV. Again, at his leisure, for his convenience. This is not who he really is because he is picking and choosing. What is the attraction for pups and their handlers? You're trying to grasp the positive elements of the archetype of the dog, the loyal companion, says David. Some pups are solo, of course, but for me, puppy identity is focused on the bond between me and Sydney, my handler. I've been collared to him for 10 years. If anyone comes near him, I growl like a little bull terrier. And I'm a people pleaser in my human life. I get a great deal of pleasure from making other people happy. these people should be having like psychiatric help, and I'm not a big fan of traditional psychiatry, but there needs to be some sort of therapy for this. This is not something that should be pushed for everyone to just be like, oh, okay, there's a man walking down the street pissing on the fire hydrant, and no. Then, of course, there is sex. Puppy play is often a part of a larger sexual practice that crosses over with leather folk, furries, and BDSM. But, as Kaz is keen to point out, not always. People automatically jump to the conclusion that this is gear we wear to have sex. I usually get asked awful questions like if I like having sex with dogs. I don't think that's an awful question. I think that's a very logical question because you think you are a dog, and most dogs have sex with dogs. Seems quite obvious to me. So I'm really gathering that you're not a dog. You're just a giant fucking little child who likes to play dress up. But it's certainly not that. It's not always sexual. Members of my pack, we spend a lot of time home together, at home just being dogs. There's 9 of us, and my partner is our handler. A big part of the feeling of family and belonging. We're there to look after each other. Whether we see it as kink, an identity, a reaction to an early experience, a form of escapism, or a fetish, the main thing, says Tom's, is that we see it at all. That we know it's there, and we accept it. It feels like you can be gay, straight, bisexual, trans, and be accepted, he says. All I want is for the pub community to be accepted in the same way. We're not trying to cause grief to the public or cause grief to relationship. We're just the same as any other person on High Street. And this is, you add pedophiles to that list. And I'm sure from this, though, you will have some people who will be like, I am an actual dog, so therefore I'm going to have sex with dogs. You must accept my having sex with dogs. See, this has had the bestiality is slipping in now. People don't realize that these are giant cycles that have gone on since the beginning of time. This is where I see the importance of the Bible, and it boggles my mind, and I feel so bad sometimes when I watch YouTube, because so many of the people whose work on here that I really admire are like fervent atheists, because they're like, oh, well, the burden of proof, this, and all they're concerned about is there a God or not, or how can you prove there's a God, or anything like that. Fuck all of that shit. Let's talk about religion. Let's talk about how there has been religion, that has civilized people, and within the book of the Bible you have these stories of all throughout history where certain ideas come in as normal, and then after the one, say homosexuality, comes pedophilia, comes bestiality. You had Sodom and Gomorrah, and then you had it's these stories of these cycles and these allegories of the archetypes and things that just keep happening. And if you really understand the book and what you're looking at, and how you should be actually reading it and interpreting it, then you understand all of this stuff. You can then predict it. You can then, I had a friend of mine that I had gone to when the whole gay marriage thing was going on. I said, you watch. The rationale they're using, accepted, tolerant, we're people too. I said, if you went at it and you just said, 2 adults, consenting, free country, what they do in their bedrooms, their own business, that'd be fine. But it's the rationales that open the floodgate for all this other shit. It's, well, you can't discriminate. You have to accept it. You have to, the emotionalizing of it, rather than seeing it in a strict black and white legalities, free country, privacy, adulthood, whatever, because now we're seeing this, the pedophilia, this crazy BDSM stuff that, like I said, you're going to have bestiality piggybacked onto it. And what's going to be the reason not to? That's the argument. People want to talk about burden of proof. Give me the rationale without bringing in religion, because religion has always said that man is not supposed to mix with animal and everything like that. They see religion used to provide the rules for a productive society. They've done the the video, you can find it on Facebook, why the feminist societies inevitably collapse. And it goes through these studies, and it's done with, the drawings and the cartoons, about why when females become more liberated and there's less chastity, and chastity is tied to religion and the idea of sex only in marriage, how societies end up collapsing because they start going through all this stuff as they become more liberal. And it really shows the importance of religion in a society, because you cannot keep what should be society's norms, because all it's going to take is science to come out and say, oh, well, yeah, we found out that horses and dogs are sexually stimulated by human dick. And then once they come out with a little bit of, the burden of proof that animals enjoy having sex with animals, well, then why not? Right? Why not? So that's why I think in some ways that, people are too dumb to know what's best for them, and that is where religion is a good thing, because it's worked. It's worked for a while, and it's provided simple guidelines for a very good life. I've rejected religion for probably a good 10 years of my life, because I was brought up with it, and I was like, oh, no, this is just trying to control me, these dogmatic worldviews, oh, the church is filled with pedophiles, blah, 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 and of course then, you're taught in school, oh, well, homosexuality is fine, this is fine, that is fine, that's fine, that's fine, Darwinism, whatever, whatever. That all conflicts with it, so you're like, oh, this is outdated nonsense, I'm being taught this other stuff. And then you go through life and you make all these mistakes and you start doing things the wrong way, and then it hits you and you're like, wow, if I followed that stupid little book from the first place, I would have saved myself from all of these problems. And then you start to realize, wow, maybe that's why people prefer religion, because it's the fucking easy way to do things, and you don't have this weirdo shit and stuff like that going on. So anyway, sorry I went on a tangent and a rant about religion, but I really feel like it's needed in this day and age, because what else is going to stop this stuff? The floodgates are open, and now you just see it fucking, it's flooding. It's flooding. Every other day, there's some weirdo shit like this, reading to your children bedtime stories is now racist. We're going to keep the family around for now, but it does disadvantage people. And I see it in some people. I see it in these liberal Democrats. The thing they hate the most is inheritance, is the idea that we're not all born into these little fucking bubbles where everyone is equally, you all have to start with nothing, because otherwise that's a disadvantage to someone else. It's fucking disgusting. And it's why I'm running for extreme, the fucking, I am going to start a campaign where I'll be running as the ruler and dictator of the capitalist patriarchal white supremacy. I've decided that we need to reclaim all the tangent list that Marxists say is bad, because let's face it, if we're living in a day and age where reading to your kids bedtime stories is racist because it disadvantages other people, then obviously being racist must be a good thing, because reading your kids a bedtime story, if it advantages them, is a good thing. So, we need to reclaim all these negative terms, and I am running as the Führer, or the dictator, supreme commander, president, whatever, of the capitalist, sexist, white supremacist, cisgender, patriarchy, whatever. Elect me as the leader, and I will restore order, I swear.